Do you enjoy complaining about things? I I ask this question because I committed to doing the Ten of Swords reviews. It's 22 plus issues. I mean, I didn't dive into the prequel comics. Probably to be complete, I should. The OCD part of me may decide that has to happen at some point, but I'll take a breather. But I'm not enjoying it. I will say I am not enjoying reviewing that. I mean, I'm not really enjoying reading it. I think it crossed into a zone where it's like watching a car crash, kind of reading. But doing the reviews then means I have to read it, think about it, record it, put the images in there, think about it some more, post it, and like there's three steps more than that series deserves. So why do it? Why put yourself through that is kind of where it comes to. I don't know. What do you think? Hey everybody, this is Perch. Is it fun to hate things? I guess is a simpler way to put it. Granted, you can have fun. Whenever I would listen to a video, there's a guy called Nurkish a long time ago, and he would do roasts, and they were true roasts. What exists on YouTube today that people call roasts, maybe people complaining about a comic, maybe people trashing a comic, but it's not really a roast. It's not a roast like what if you tune into a roast on TV or what Nurkish would do was a true roast. It's where actual jokes are crafted and not just on the spur of the moment, not utilizing a funny sounding voice like, oh, I'm a Wolverine and I can fight things. It's not doing that. It's actually making kind of humor out of the situation. So a lot of what we see as roasts today are really just kind of negative reviews. There's nothing wrong with that, and you can certainly call things whatever you want. If you want to call them a roast, be my guest. But a true roast can become a performance art. It can become a comedy bit on something, on a movie, on a talent, on a comic, and that can be fun. It's not my thing. I'm not a joke writer, and I think that other people have captured that and done it well in the past. But that can be fun. But just reading and kind of trashing a comic, if you go onto YouTube, there's lots of people who do this. A lot of people who kind of trash comics, and when I've talked to them, some of the people who do this, they say, "Oh, those are fun to make." Certainly, they get a lot of attention. I think the negative comic reviews get 4x the positive comic reviews, generally speaking. But it's that question of, is it fun? Because a question I get asked, and it's an obvious one, is if you hate it, why read it? Why put yourself through that? Why review something that you just despise? And with Ten of Swords, for example, or with Iron Man 2020, it's a good question. And the short answer is I said I'd do it, and I'm going to finish it. And I try not to let it get too out of control. One thing I just, for my own sanity, is don't do all three issues in one day. That's like, by the time you get to that third one, I think even if it was an amazing issue, you start to get pretty punchy. And these aren't amazing issues. So, but for you, for a reader, what, is it fun reading bad comics? By the way, I want to throw one more thing out there. I think for several people who are not paying for the comic, who are pirating it, or they're just going to a free site and they're looking at it, I think that also provides a certain level of enjoyment. I think that there's something where if you're paying $5 for this terrible comic, it takes a lot of that enjoyment away pretty quickly. I think that enjoyment starts to sink. And so I mean, that's a case where, can you really enjoy something you pay $5 for and it's awful, even if you're ripping it, even if you're insulting it? And kind of what does that say about the entertainment itself? Is it comics aren't made to be hated? I think some might disagree with that, but when the comic is actually produced, when the work is being put into it, and the comic is being put out, nobody is thinking at that moment, we've just created the biggest crap in the world, and suck it, people. Nobody's saying that. Nobody is thinking that they're intentionally shooting for bad reviews. They think they're doing something people are going to enjoy, or is quirky, or who knows what it might be. But it is. Yeah, I mean, nobody's setting off to create something that somebody hates. I think that in the back of their minds, they may be creating something that they're hoping will irritate, quote unquote, the right people. But that's still not that's not making something people hate. That's not setting out to craft a dislikable product. Uh, but so I think it cuts both ways. I mean, I have this question. I've expressed it before. If you suspect as a creator that what you're doing is terrible, um, why are you doing it? I think that's a question. But in general, I don't think that's one that comes up very often. I mean, if you talk, I strongly believe the creators of Ten of Swords believe they're putting out an amazing, memorable X-Men event. I do think I'm sure of it. I think their close circle of friends, when they floated these ideas by them, like, hey, let's, what about this or what about that? Their friends would be like, oh, that's amazing. Oh my God, squee, squee. I mean, I think that they get, positive reinforcement for these ideas. I think that there's a lesson in there probably for, getting a bigger bubble of friends you're talking to kind of advise that, hey, maybe this idea you've got here is not the best one. But that's neither here nor there. No, I think like I started this video with, the question is more for you, for the reader. Do you find a sick kind of enjoyment in reading something terrible? And I want to throw out there's this phenomenon as well where there's a great comic, there's something that's good, there's something that's kind of blah, there's bad, and then there's so bad it's great again. And there is that factor of a comic that is so awful, you read it and it's so awful you have a good time, because it's so awful. Is that have you had that experience? Is that comics that you every now and then get into? I don't know. Here's this may be a weird take, but I think that the state of where comics are at right now, which I would describe as fragile, not dying, not imploding, not doing amazingly well, but fragile. Fragile because of a lot of things that actually have nothing to do. Some of those things have nothing to do with the content within. Retail is suffering. The idea of reading a monthly periodical like that is perhaps becoming an outdated idea. The idea of spending $5 on that periodical is becoming an outdated idea. There's a lot of pieces here that, may not fit anymore. That just, comics have some obstacles. And that's let's say you get the most amazing, talented people that you love to write and draw these comics. There's still those unavoidable facts. The facts that the business market is shifting. The world of how people consume entertainment is shifting. So those are all barriers to comics, and so that's why I say I think comics are in a fragile state right now, because there's some things working against them that have actually nothing to do with a single thing inside that cover or on the cover itself. And so given that, I think that the companies should probably be a little bit more careful to what they're putting inside that comic, that it's appealing to as wide an audience as possible, not a tiny bubble, not a small group of, not some kind of social engineering. I think I've been reading, Ten of Swords is now starting to get a bunch of these reviews. And this quote, which I've said on this channel before, it's people shouldn't get what they want. They should get what they need. Or a great writer defies expectations and gives the reader something they didn't know that they wanted. Sounds great, but if it's if what if they try to give something the reader didn't know they wanted, and when the reader sees it, they're confirmed they didn't want it. They say, I read this and I did not want it. Defying expectations only works when the defied expectations turn out to be great. You walk into a movie and you didn't expect it to be good, and it turned out it was great. I'll give you an example of this. The marketing, and this is older, this is for old people maybe. So this is going to be hard for people who do not remember what I remember. But the movie Seven, Brad Pitt, and Morgan Freeman, that movie, the advertising campaign for it was pretty poor. And when the commercials came out, it looked like a pretty generic, not great movie. Now, that turned out to be quite a good movie, but if you can remember back, forget the movie you saw and just remember back the advertising was pretty poor. And I remember going into that movie with very low expectations, thinking, I like some of the people involved, and let's see what happens. And I left thinking, wow, that was a pretty good movie. And that's great. When that happens, defied my expectations. Awesome. But a lot of the time I go into a movie or I pull up something on Netflix or whatever it might be, and it looks like garbage, and I watch it and it's confirmed it's garbage. Adam Sandler puts out another Netflix film, looks like it's going to suck, and surprise, it sucks. And that it did not defy my expectations. So they did not give me what I wanted, and they didn't give me what I wanted. And so I'm seeing a lot of those reviews now come up for Ten of Swords. A lot of people are starting to use that as the friends of the creators, people who are trying to get on good terms still with Hickman or with members of that creative team. What's funny is there's some cowardly people out there. There's some people out there who I've gotten DMs from who's like, yeah, this event's pretty terrible. And then I look on Twitter and they're like, oh my God, this is so great. I don't know why everybody's hating it. It's like, oh, come on. I mean, Hickman's not going to screw you. I'm just, at least, maybe in the pages of the book, but not in real life. So you can kind of ease up there. It is, as a reader, do you get a sick enjoyment or a thrill when you read something terrible? That's my question for you. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Like, subscribe, hate. Do you watch this channel and hate it? There are some. I know one guy. He said, I hate everything in this show, but I listen so I can downvote and complain. And it's like, oh, okay, dude, whatever makes you happy. I don't know why you do that, but okay. So is that you? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Most importantly, of course, thanks for listening.